Thank you so much. Wow, it's good to be here, isn't it? And it's good to know that life is always more than we see on the surface. And that's kind of what the meaning of the word metaphysical is. Physical, what you can observe, what the senses can see, hear, feel, touch, taste. So meta means beyond or greater than. So metaphysical simply means beyond the appearance of things, beyond what you are observing. So what is a metaphysical Lent? Some of you have heard the term Lent before. Some of you are new to that idea of Lent. Lent is 46 days, and that's including 6 Sundays. 46 days, but you don't count the Sundays because they're considered feast days. And so it's 40 days of fasting leading up to Easter. Easter being metaphysically that whole concept of rising up to new life, that concept of coming out of old error thinking, that which has bound us, that which has hemmed us in, and rising up out of it. Well, how do you practice fasting in unity? I mean, some of us do fast, sometimes from food or other things. But the idea in unity, according to the Fillmores, according to unity teachers, is that we fast from error thinking, E-R-R-O-R, error thinking. We fast from those thoughts, those ideas that get in our way, that hold us back. And all of us have them. Unless you are a totally evolved, self-actualized, liberated, moksha person, and there may be some here, but generally speaking, most of us have some of those limiting thoughts, limiting views, limiting concepts or beliefs that are deeply ingrained within us. Came from childhood, came from experiences in life, and we think that there's only so much to go around, or so we get fearful, or we think that there may be something or someone against us, so we may become fearful. So in Lent, the idea is fasting from those thoughts that inhibit that true Christ presence, that divine presence living in us, that presence from fully expressing, fasting from those things that would inhibit that. So in unity, there's an acronym for Lent, L.E.N.T, meaning let's eliminate negative thinking. Okay, let's say that together. Let's eliminate negative thinking. Very good. Love streamers, I couldn't hear you. Let's say it again. Let's eliminate negative thinking. So Lent is about this inner process of shifting our consciousness. How many of you grew up in a tradition where you practiced Lent? Would you raise your hand? More than I expected. Many more than I expected. Okay, in some traditions, many traditions, Lent is a time of denying oneself. It's a time of denying things that are pleasurable so that one can get closer to God. Which, does that mean God doesn't like pleasure? What's that all about? So, when I was a leader in the Catholic Church, and I would hear people giving up chocolate or giving up something else, coffee. I remember talking to a person who had given up coffee for Lent, and they were like, oh, or other things, especially things that are pleasurable, so just fill in the blank. And as if giving up pleasure is somehow going to bring us closer to God. Now, there is something about austerities and sacrifice, but in unity, we look at giving up those old ways of thinking, those old ways of being that don't work for us. A good example of metaphysical Bible interpretation is that whole event that we're leading up to, Easter, where you have the crucifixion of Jesus and he was placed in the tomb. And then for him to come out, the stone got rolled away. And out comes the Christ, this Christ that is not limited to any place, can immediately appear different places. So this body has been spiritualized, which Charles Fillmore in many of his books says is the goal for all of us, is to spiritualize this body. And so you have this whole meaning of coming into new life, breaking out of the tomb. Those thoughts, those beliefs, those patterns in our lives that are holding us back. Now, I don't know what it is for you. I don't know what it is for you. I mean, many of us have self-limiting ideas. So just think about it. Do you have any self-limiting ideas? Yeah. I mean, if something comes to you, like a great idea, you think, oh, that would be a great idea. I wonder if anybody will do it. What is the limiting belief there? The limiting belief might be, I'm not capable of doing it. Well, that's way outside the box. Or it might be, oh, that would mean making changes in my life. If I really step into my vision, that means my life will change. What's so bad about that? What is the illusion you're holding on to that somehow we're not supposed to evolve and grow and change? What is the limiting belief that's holding you back? I want to share a little bit with you personal stuff about me. Earlier in my life, I was a pastor for a number of years in another tradition, experienced some very traumatic circumstances, very traumatic. I won't go through it all, but it's traumatic. Not everyone would have made it through that. But I loved hospital work. I loved working with people. I loved praying with people, doing spiritual work with people. And so I went into training and residency to become a professional chaplain and specialized in psychiatry and then intensive care and trauma. It's interesting how we enter occupations where we're trying to heal ourselves. Anyway, so loved working as a chaplain, still love that, still board certified chaplain. And I was taking Kabbalah classes and Torah classes at the Hebraic College of Judaism in Wichita, Kansas. And my teacher and mentor, Rabbi Nissim Warnick, invited me to have a major portion in a Holocaust memorial service that we had at Wichita State University. There were, 400 to 600 people there. And so in this Holocaust memorial service, I led a meditation. And I was completely in it. I was with all the people that were in the Holocaust. I was with all the families that were affected by the Holocaust. And a lot of people there were deeply, deeply moved and touched. So I'm out in the lobby. I thought, oh, okay, that was a wonderful experience. I'm out in the lobby, and I'm kind of surprised with all the people coming up to me. I'm like, what's this all about? And the rabbi, my teacher, came up to me. And he said, what are you doing? I was kind of shocked. I was kind of silent. He said again, what are you doing? Why are you hiding? You have a gift to share with people and with the world. Why are you holding back and hiding? What is it you're afraid of? It was in my face. Ever have a spiritual voice in your face? It got me to thinking, what's he see? And I didn't want to go there. I mean, there's great beauty and great power in ministering privately, one-on-one with people or with families. And I loved that. I loved some of the anonymity of that. I loved not being out in front of people anymore. I loved being kind of hidden and private. And he was calling me out on it. I had been involved in Unity, got away from Unity for a while, and then, some of you have heard this, but Olga Lucia and I, my wife, got together, and she would talk about her metaphysical beliefs that she had gotten as she was growing up in Colombia, or beliefs that she was getting while she was studying in Moscow. And she was sharing with me her metaphysical beliefs. And I said, I know a church that believes just like you do. It's amazing. It's almost like you're one of them. So I'd tell her about this wonderful place called Unity. It went on and on and on. And at that time, I was a leader in the Catholic Church. And finally one day, and this is how I remember it, which I'm sure is accurate. The way I remember it is, I know, she's so sweet. But the way I remember it is, you keep talking over and over about this place, Unity, and how wonderful it is, and the wonderful spiritual teachings, and how much it's like what I say. Well, it's been 6 years since you've been there. And by this time, things have no doubt changed there. And either you go back there and give it another try or shut up. Yeah, she's sweet. But again, it was kind of in my face, And so when Olga Lucia and I together went back to Unity, it was her first time to be there. Now, Olga Lucia doesn't describe herself as psychic or anything like that. If you know her, she's very pragmatic, very down to earth, scientist type of mind, And so we walk into that Unity church, and she looks at me, and she says, you will be the pastor of this church. I said, are you crazy? I laughed. I said, I've done that. I've been a pastor before. I don't want to do that. I thought, man, why did I bring her to church? And, I started getting more and more involved there at Unity. They had this prayer chaplain training thing. I thought, people were asking me, when you like to come? When you like to come? I'm like, ugh. So I came to this prayer chaplain training thing. Oh, I had to do a lot of discernment about that. Do I want to get back involved in church? It's so nice to stay anonymous in the background. Let someone else do it. I've done my part, But I got more and more involved and finally discerned, yes, to become a prayer chaplain. And I was praying with lots of people, and eventually I was standing next to the senior minister every Sunday, and she would refer people over to me if they needed prayer. And I was working with people and leading groups and speaking and leading meditation and leading alternative services there. And one day she calls me into the office. She has these big, flashing blue eyes that just sear into your soul. She said, a lot of people here think that you're already the associate minister. Would you like to be? I was like, I really needed to do a lot of prayer, do a lot of healing, because there were some old beliefs, some old tendencies, some past experiences that were keeping me hemmed in and imprisoned. Now, there's some comfort to staying hemmed in and private. Do any of you know what I'm talking about? I mean, there's a lot of responsibility if you step out into something new. You don't know what all's going to happen. But I stepped into that, really felt called to become an associate minister, really got even more involved there. And after I became associate minister, unbeknownst to me, she got up one Sunday and announced her resignation 4.5 months after I became associate. I remember sitting on the front row just staring in disbelief, and people are turning and looking at me. I'm like, don't look at me. What are you looking at? And, so another discernment process ensued where I needed to think through, do I want to do this? Do I feel called to this? And again, I had to deal with some of those past experiences and those past beliefs to really step into what was mine to do. I think of the passage from Romans chapter 12. Now, J.B. Phillips was a translator of Scripture. He has a very interesting translation. And in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, it says something like this: do not let the world squeeze you into its mold, but let the presence of God within you remold your mind. Don't let those outer circumstances determine what you are to be. Don't let outside circumstances, that's what is meant by the world, the sense consciousness, those things that we observe on the outside, don't let them determine who and what you are here to be, but rather go to headquarters. Emily Cady, in her book, Lessons in Truth, talks about going to headquarters, going to source, going to that presence of God within. And when you touch that, when you know that you know that you know, she says nothing from the outside can affect you. It will fall helpless at your side. Charles Fillmore, in his book, Keep a True Lent, talks about the power of denials, of gently sweeping away like cobwebs, those old thoughts of error. It's not buying into that. It's not giving that energy anymore. I remember a time, and it's comical to me now, but I remember a time when I was afraid to talk to anybody. I know, right? Can you picture that? No. And so I've noticed, just observing my own behavior, when I get around a group of people or I'm meeting new people, I'm engaged, I'm loving it. I'm like, What had to happen for that to unfold? I had to get some old beliefs, some old error thinking out of the way. The thought of someone or something against me. The thought or belief or pattern that somehow I am not deserving. What is it for you? What is it that's holding you back? Lent is about taking energy away, fasting from those thoughts of error, those thoughts of sickness, those thoughts of limitation, those thoughts of poverty. Fasting from those and experiencing the presence of God living itself fully as you. So I remember after that senior minister had left and I was speaking at the church, we had African-American group of blues, jazz, rhythm and blues, rock musicians, phenomenal musicians. And one of them was a keyboard player and singer, Huron Bro. Some of you who are watching from Wichita know him. Great singer. And some of you don't know what a Hammond B organ is. The old, big wood organ. And Leslie Speaker. I need to take some, we'll go on some trip, to a Pentecostal church. I'll let you hear what a Leslie Speaker sounds like. And he would sing this song, I Believe I Can Fly. I believe I can fly. I think about it every night and day. And I thought about how much that spoke to me. Was I ready to fly? Was I ready to let go of the past? Was I ready to release some of those thoughts of error? Yeah, it's stepping into the unknown. Yeah, there's going to be mistakes made. Yeah, it means going back to school after I'd already gotten a master's degree and beyond. Yeah, it means some mentor that I don't even know is going to pick on me. Oh, no. Reverend Medora became my mentor as I went into the ministry program. And I got the most, how do I want to put it? The most thorough mentor there was, And which I was like, bring it on, because I would do twice as much as what was asked of me, It's like, are you willing to stretch? Are you willing to let your vision so upload that there's no way you can step into that vision and stay the same as you are now? Are you willing to somehow break through those barriers, roll away the stone like the tomb, and come out? This is a great coming out party. And you all are invited to come out. Now, Tuesday. Do you know what Tuesday is? Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras. Okay. So here we go. All right. Yeah, I matched the choir. So Mardi Gras is about really celebrating. Before we get into the fasting, I say the fasting from error thoughts brings about the celebration. When we release that stuff that's been holding us back, when we release those thoughts of error thinking and let ourselves fly and let ourselves be colorful and let ourselves come out, and really be the Christ that we are, then there's really celebration and happiness that breaks out. And all of us are invited to the party. You don't have to sit back in anonymity. You don't have to sit back lost in your error thinking. You don't have to stay in the tomb. You can roll the stone away. You can rock and roll the stone away and come forth in your Christ presence, your divine presence, and be what you're here to be. That's what a metaphysical Lent is. Thank you. Thank you. Your spirit resonates with the truth of it. I can see it. I can see it in you. So, affirmations. Please repeat after me. Oh, let's take a deep breath. I let go of old beliefs and old patterns that get in my way. I release and push forward the presence of God living itself as me. And so it is. Amen. Amen.